To use the DIF ipfs service provider, my contribution to the DIF Hackathon 2024, one first needs to properly set it up by following the instructions given in the README inside the repository of the DIF ipfs service provider. If one follows these instructions, one can start the DIF ipfs service provider, which can be called following the URL of localhost 3000/API. I'm refreshing the URL to show that the DIF ipfs service provider is successfully running. And let's now showcase how the DIF ipfs service provider works by creating a DIF ipfs. So the DIF ipfs creation process requires a setup or an instruction for where the DIF document that is generated by the DIF ipfs service provider is stored. We can choose the private ipfs powered by Pinata or the public and ordinary ipfs, and we want the latter, so we choose private DIF doc as query input to be false. Then we have two other query inputs, queryable and tagging, that are for DIF ipfs services, and we want that our file is queryable through the ipfs search engine, so other people can find our file just based on their content, so we set it to true. Also, we want that the DIF ipfs service provider analyzes the uploaded file regarding its ability to be used for machine learning training, and so we set the tagging attribute to true so that the DIF ipfs service provider tags our file accordingly for machine learning training. So now let's also upload the file. We want to attach to the DIF ipfs identifier. We choose this image and we hit execute. So now the DIF ipfs service provider has created a DIF ipfs identifier for the file we uploaded, and we can copy this one and use the second endpoint of the DIF ipfs service provider to resolve the newly generated DIF ipfs identifier. We enter it here. We tell the provider where the DIF document lies. It is stored in the public ipfs, so we set the private DIF doc input to false, and we execute the resolution of the DIF ipfs identifier. As a result, we get the DIF resolution object, giving first some metadata, and secondly the DIF document. The DIF document attests us as the uploader, and here we are identified with a DIF key that is special about DIF ipfs. It doesn't require that the controllers are part of the same DIF ecosystem. Then we have the key material under verification method with what one can interact with the ipfs file regarding authentication. And in the service section of the DIF document, the DIF ipfs services inserted their metadata to make, first of all, tags, and these tags can be now used for making the uploaded file usable for machine learning training, and the query properties in the other service endpoint that can be used by the ipfs search engine to find the ipfs based on its content. And lastly, we have the file attribute, which shows the file we uploaded in base 64. This is my demonstration of the DIF ipfs service provider.